All of us came from somewhere. Sure. It's all the, that's the things. Oh, thanks. I'll be there. Right now.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. This is a special meeting. It's June 12th, 2025. Please, let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, everyone. And Maureen, you want to do a roll call or maybe we should just say who's here?
Bailey here. Andrew Lou Millard,
She's excused.
Diane Joycey,
Here.
Tim Zigmont.
Yep.
I don't know. He might be running late.
The last meeting, didn't he say as he left the last meeting? He said he asked to be excused.
Okay,
Chairman Bailey,
here.
Scott Hamel,
Scotty, are you online? I talked to him on the way in. He said he was going to Zoom in. So hopefully he's not having problems connecting.
alternate John Dyken asked to be excused.
Yes.
And alternate Steve Biella. So,
Yeah. Okay. All right. As long as we have a quorum, then let's go. All right. We have the public hearings. This is the text amendment application of Vesta Corporation to revise 11Q6, which is the housing for elderly persons, to modify minimum lot area required for each unit type for development of senior affordable housing. And good evening. Oh, wait a minute. Do we need to read the call of the public hearing? Oh,
Okay,
all right, hang on. Before you start, while you're signing your life away, I'll ask Diane Jorsey to read the call. Thank you. Sorry.
the Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission will hold public hearings at a special meeting on Thursday, June 12th, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the Town Council Chambers, Berlin Town Hall, 240 Kensington Road, Berlin, Connecticut. Interested parties may join the meeting and participate in the public hearings in person or remotely as provided by below. Number 1, text amendment application of Vesta Corporation to revise 11Q6, housing for elderly persons to modify minimum lot area required for each unit type for development of senior affordable housing. 2, special permit with site plan application of Aaron Greenblatt, Vesta Corporation, and Joseph McGanny, O'Riordan McGanny Architects, LLC, for the construction of elderly housing at 143 Percival Avenue, property of the Town of Berlin in the R11 zone. Applications and related meeting materials are available at the Planning and Zoning Department, Berlin Town Hall, 240 Kensington Road, Berlin, Connecticut. Remote access to the meeting is available by Zoom video conference, and the link is provided. And this was submitted by Brian Rogan, Secretary of the Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission, and run in the New Britain Herald Legal Notices Classified Advertising section on Saturday, May 31st and Friday, June 6th, 2025, and posted with the Berlin Town Clerk on Thursday, May 29th, 2025.
Okay, thank you very much. Before,
Madam Chair,
yes.
you've noticed that 2 members have joined online.
Oh, good. Okay, so Scott, welcome. And
you.
Steve Biella Jr., I'm going to ask that you be seated for this evening because we have a lot of our regular members who have asked in advance to be excused.
No problem.
Okay, excellent. All right. So both of you are ready to join in. Thank you. All right. Good evening. Hey, how are you doing today?
Evening, how are you?
Pretty good. We're usually not this,
Doing fine.
whatever, but we're just gonna roll with it, okay?
Fantastic.
All right, go.
And for the record, I'm attorney Richard Corella, an attorney with Updike, Kelly and Spellacy in Middletown. And I have the pleasure of representing Vesta Corporation tonight. And I'm glad you opened the public hearing for both matters. And I'd ask that our comments tonight be addressed to both matters as the record in both matters, if that's okay with you. And we'll certainly start with the text amendment. I'd also like to start by confirming, and I think this is the case, that all the public signs and notice to abutters have been properly posted and properly noticed. And, I think that's in your record as well.
Okay,
So I'm going to start with the text amendment, and I'll give you a quick overview of this property as a whole. This is the property at 143 Percival Street. It's the old Knights of Columbus building. And this is the developer, Vesta Corporation is the developer that responded to the RFQ to develop affordable elderly housing at this site pursuant to an RFQ from last year. In the process of putting together the site plan that addresses the development, we ran into the provisions of your affordable elderly housing regulations that were adopted in late 2024 under 11Q. And there's a minimum site area requirement based on the number of units that when we put together the number of units that we're proposing here, we ran up against some constraints with the size of the site. And so that, coupled with the desire of the town to have some boundary line adjustments related to Percival Park, kind of squeezed our site a little bit more. So we found ourselves about a little bit less than an acre short of your existing requirements. And so in talking with the town planner, we came forward with this text amendment that specifically addresses just the three aspects of 11Q under 11Q6. And you have for you in your packet kind of a strike through and change of paragraph 6 of your regulation 11Q. So for efficiency units, the lot area was 2,800 square feet of land per every efficiency unit. We're suggesting that that be reduced to 2,200 square feet of land. For one-bedroom units, you required 3,200 square feet of land. We're suggesting you reduce that to 2,400 square feet of land. And then for two-bedroom units, we go from 3,800 square feet of land to 3,000 square feet of land. The net result of that is that under the old regulation, we would have been short by about an acre, a little bit less than an acre. Now we're a little bit over. We need 4.1 acres. We have 4.6 acres in total. So in general, this would allow us to develop it in the manner in which we responded to the RFQ with the town and still meet the regulations as amended. I neglected to introduce my team here. So let me do that now, because I think the next person up, which is Aaron Greenblatt of Vesta Corporation, can speak a little bit more about this as well, given his experience with the development of elderly housing units. In particular, this regulation about efficiency units, they're not really marketable for elderly housing. He'll explain why. But in any event, Aaron Greenblatt from Vesta Corporation is the developer, and he's joining us tonight. Joe Mignani is our architect from O'Riordan Mignani Architects. David Nafis and Young is our civil engineer. He'll go over the site plan, drainage, landscaping aspects. And then Bruce Gregoire from GeoQuest is our environmental consultant. And I believe if you have any questions about traffic, there's a traffic study that's in the application, and Neil Olinsky from SLR may be available online. We don't know yet. We're getting there. He's trying to join. Okay. Unless you have any specific questions about the regulation itself and what we're proposing, it's pretty straightforward. I'd like to turn it over to Aaron Greenblatt to describe what Vesta Corporation is and what the plan of development is here at a high level. Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
let's talk about the text amendment first. Okay, because I don't know if there's commission questions that we may have at this point, or if the planner has anything just strictly about the text amendment.
So with regard, if I may, with
Yes,
the text amendment, um, as everyone knows, this, proposal for senior housing has been a goal of the town as a whole for a number of years now, with the previously approved plan that the Housing Authority had. And when we put out the RFQ last year, after the Affordable Housing Plan was done and the POCD was done, and we, found the, greater need of senior affordable housing that the town has with the aging population that the town has. The RFQ was put out for housing, a proposal that would have housing somewhere in the 60 to 80 units on this site, without having done calculations,
Mhm.
and all that, but 60 to 80 units. They're settling kind of in the middle there with 70 units, which should go quite a ways to further the goals that the town has identified. Also, as we've proceeded through the process, you realize, and you have the plans in front of you, that Percival Park sits to the north of this parcel that was the Knights of Columbus parcel. And the baseball field has a fence that encroaches, and part of their field encroaches onto the parcel that is um, the the housing parcel.
the development
The
site.
development site,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for that. For the development site. So as part of the proposal, what the town put out was adjusting that lot line so that the entire baseball field would be retained by the town and it would make 143 Percival Avenue a little bit smaller. Because of that, and then the town retains it. As we've moved forward since they've brought in their proposal and made their application and whatnot, was requested through the town officials that we look at retaining wider access along the baseball field and possibly another access point so that the parcel that's to the east, that's also owned by the town, the Percival Park and its parcels are, it's made up of three parcels over there. There's parcel in the middle, and then it connects to Marjorie Moore right behind us here.
Yes.
And then to here, these parcels are all interconnected. And we thought, well, the meets and bounds of one of the parcels would end up being landlocked. So even though it's connected, they're not merged or anything. So if the town altered the lot line on the south as well to retain frontage and access through there, and not likely to get developed in any foreseeable future in any way, maybe a walking trail or something, but that would benefit the town as well to retain a little bit more. So their development parcel since the RFQ, the town desire
Mhm.
has shrunk. We took away from the initial land area that they were given and developed their initial proposal on, and that we put out the RFQ for.
Okay, because can I ask a question then?
Mhm.
So when we're looking at the parcel and the fence that's regarding the baseball field,
Mhm.
so the baseball field fence encroaches on the property that the development is being proposed for.
Right, always did.
It always did.
Bigger sets. So you have this plan in small. They have them small up there. They each have one of
I-
these.
I don't know, let me take one because I just have this big thing
It's on your desk, under this,
under something.
under the text.
Oh, okay, all right,
Thank
Thank you
you. It's
for
under
that.
the site plan set. She put it on.
all right.
But regardless, can you bring this up?
Is this text amendment going to be, is this text amendment just going to be affecting this property or is it affecting other town properties that we have?
Oh, it would affect anywhere where housing, where the provision for senior housing is, elderly housing, that's what we call it. However, the provision for the elderly housing one of the conditions is that the condition of establishment, housing for elderly persons shall only be permitted if developed and operated by the Berlin Housing Authority or by a private for-profit or nonprofit entity on land sold by the town for such purposes. So the town is integral to any proposal of affordable senior housing on town land.
Okay,
'Cause that's, that's the way the regulation is written.
okay. Other commissioners?
So
have any
we
questions?
have not identified where,
Where else it
this
might
could
apply?
result in, an impact that would be, that has been identified as detrimental. Of course, that's your, purview, but,
Yeah.
not from the staff standpoint, um, we felt this was a reasonable. So if you look at the map, it's before you. Can you zoom in at the top section, hopefully? There's a blow up map of that as well, but you can see that you can see the white dotted line if you look at your plan, the plan in front of you at the top, in the top corner.
Yes.
And that's the fence. It's in the baseball field. So it's clearly on, that was good. That helped, I knew what you just said. Let's see if you can go a little further in. More zoomed. And just see the top, just for the top part. So you can see that, so the initial lot line revision is shown by the black line up at the top. So the blue is the existing extent of the parcel. The black line that makes kind of a trapezoid is the original lot line revision that the town has been looking at for years and included in the RFQ. And then that little red hatched area, which actually could be made, we've discovered can be made smaller than that, will allow for a consistent width with a minimum of 15 feet all the way on the outside of the baseball fence, which would allow if a piece of equipment needs to get in, if, there are trees in the way at this time, but it still creates that 15-foot width that the town would like to see retained. If we stick with the original dimension, it squeezes down to 12 feet. And we were just looking for a little bit more to keep that consistent 15-foot width.
So the blue outline, is that the property outline?
That's the existing property.
That's the existing property line. And it would go down.
Right. Which was factored in, was the initial go down.
All right, so the initial,
We've then asked for that little bit more, which is the red triangle. Red slash
Yeah.
triangle. And then at the southerly end of the site, you scroll up.
all right, but
Oh,
the white,
Keep talking about that.
the white, yeah, yeah. No, that white dotted line. So go back to that white dotted line. Is that the new line for the development?
No, that's the fence. That's the baseball field's fence.
That's the baseball fields fence. So,
Existing fence already encroaches into this parcel.
I just want to understand,
No,
I just want to understand that if the text amendment is adopted, what the new property line would be.
it would follow the black line. So you go across the top.
Can you move your cursor so that people like Steve Biella and Scott Hamill will know exactly? All right, so we're talking about that dotted.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I have a bigger version of that on the second page. Maybe it'll be-
well, now you tell me, right? What? Oh, you didn't pass it on, June. Yeah, take points away from you, June.
A little bit easier to.
All right.
And these
But
are
still, I
all
just want to make sure I understand what the parcel is. Should we,
I interject?
yeah, go right ahead.
So,
1 second, for the benefit of the members online, they are in the folder that's on the application folder online as well. All
Oh.
these maps are on that folder as well.
All right.
If I might, Madam.
Yeah, go ahead.
The existing parcel line is the blue line.
Yes. Okay.
The RFQ and the
Mhm.
proposal that's been originally developed by the developer is the black line along kind of under the dotted white line, which is the fence.
Okay.
Further discussions with the town. Town would like to see an additional amount of land, this red hatched area,
Okay, so,
added to the mix so that the developer would develop underneath that entire area.
all right, so the proposal goes through, it's the black line above the red hashed out. But now the town's asking for us to go below.
Correct. The town will retain, the town owns all of this already. The town will retain that portion that's red hatched. It's part of the ball field area.
Okay. Now I understand what we're talking about. I just want to make sure, and I don't know if anyone else had any questions or
Yeah.
needed clarification.
And Madam Mayor, a similar situation exists at the southern part of the property. Go
Oh,
to the
no.
First page.
Now you're gonna muddy the water, just when I got it down straight.
Yeah, at the town's
June.
request.
All right.
That area would also be retained by the town, as the town planner mentioned.
All right, so what's happening down here? On the next, on the last page of this.
So if you look, if you look at the
Again?
first page, you can kind of see the connectivity, but on the last page, Lawndale comes in. So that would provide frontage, would find some, well, frontage of town land, the town land that is to the east on the right-hand side of the screen. Where the words are, where it says possible number 2,
Mm-hmm.
where that box is, that is also town land that the town is intending to retain. And by keeping this red hatched area, it provides an access point if should one ever be desired by the town. And provides for frontage to that parcel. There is no plan for it at this time. No, you haven't heard a plan for it, but it is not landlocking a town parcel.
Okay.
The one where the yellow box is that says possible 2, that's sitting on town land.
All right, you have to
Parcel
use your
does not have
microphone
Frontage.
because otherwise Scott won't be able to hear you or Steve Biella won't be able to hear your questions.
And it creates a
Thank you, Tim.
viable access for whatever. I mean, we can't really predict, but maybe someday a couple of parking spaces, maybe someday a cul-de-sac at the end of Lonsdale, maybe someday a walking trail, maybe someday, it just leaves the possibilities open for the town to retain that little bit of land connectivity.
This proposal, all the land on inside the blue line is not gonna be town land anymore, right?
Now that the inside the blue line was as proposed to be, what is the existing lot line,
Right. And
Oh.
property owned by the town right now.
right?
When the development happens, the land is gonna be owned by who?
By the developer. They
By the
will-
developer,
The MOU for purchase
right?
development.
They wanna purchase this land. Now, with that said, what does this sliver of town line that they wanna, land that they wanna hold do? It does not anything except it gives the land towards the town hall access.
Mhm.
Okay, if you did a little curve on Lawndale and got into that land of town, Berlin land. I see that as the only, basically, option to keep that land. And if that is the option that's wanted, then I would put this line actually on a angle up. Because the town needs the room to curve a road and or driveway or whatever they want into Berlin land. It's only 50 foot wide. So we're either going to bring Landon Court straight and take a hard right into the town Berlin, or we go curve it in. Okay, so the question is 50 feet enough to put a curved road into the town property or driveway, whatever their potential is?
So if I may respond, the Lawndale was determined to be 50 feet or less wide existing,
It's just
doesn't meet the
50 foot line.
current street
Right.
standards.
Right,
And the town engineer and the engineering department, we started with a 20-foot swath, a 25. One of the two, and had options of a narrow strip or this being the wider strip as recommended by the town engineer, Director of Public Works, with regard to what would be reasonable and adequate should access be desired. It was under his guidance that this was determined to be the an option to go with. And after some discussion, we landed on this option 2, which is the wider swath than the other option, which was half the width.
I just took a 50 foot box there. Doesn't give enough option.
He felt it wasn't, in my discussion with him, and it
Yeah.
was a discussion amongst a number of us.
I think that,
He felt that you could do a right-hand turn into a driveway or a couple of parking spaces or even a road. It would be like a turn where you turn at a road. He was not concerned with the width at 50 feet. That was his recommendation, actually. And the wetlands are just to its north and the steep sloping there, the viability of a road, being an actual road extension is not as likely as some of the other scenarios for how the access would be improved, if at all.
okay, without the topos, I don't know that answer, but,
Yeah, he said it drops off significantly there. I think we do have one of the, well, in your map set, you have something that shows some of the topography
Okay.
there. And that's how we landed on that amount of space.
it's not buildable land for the developer or anything, and I just wanted to make sure that the town has enough to curve a road in instead of doing a hammerhead or whatever type thing in there. I mean, maybe it should go to the right to the wetland line there, given that little space more of a curved road going in there. It's just an option for the town, if they're going to use this piece to access this piece towards the town hall. And I see that that piece could be maybe used. So, and maybe more, affordable housing, I don't know, but, because I don't have the topos either, but it's just, it's useless land to the developer and it would give us a little bit more options. That's all.
If I may, so
Yes.
I did, and we're not to that point yet, but with regard to the site plan, because the lot line revision is something that, of course, has to go through as to what the final configuration is, and the lot line revision, et cetera, goes to town council. It's not a subdivision, so the Planning and Zoning Commission won't actually
Mhm.
act on the lot line revision itself. However, the transfer of the parcel and that configuration will be going through town council, and I'm kind of incorporating the 824 into your approval, into your review as well as a recommendation. But you can see it again, of course, as well. But in my suggested conditions, I said, let's see, that the commission authorized professional staff to approve modifications of the plan that are compliant with the regulations. So that would be with the regulations as amended, if amended, which may result from related town approvals of lot line adjustments for conveyance and related technical drawings. So that if these lot line adjustments get tweaked more, that you allow the staff to take into consideration your comments on that, but tweak that with the final plan, because that is a separate action that has to be taken by multiple town officials. So the takeaway with regard to the lot line revision here is that the requested lot line revisions are added retention of property or the lot line revisions results in a diminished lot size for their development plan. And that therefore prompts the
Text
request for
amendment,
the text amendment.
yeah.
And so that's the reasoning for the lot line revisions, that request that came from council members and the town manager, et cetera. And then how to transfer that and get it through the process of all the officials that need to see it, including you.
Okay. All right, I'm going to turn before we go any further and ask if Mr. Hamel or Mr. Biella has any questions you'd like to ask regarding the text amendment. Okay, I'm not hearing any. I don't think they have their hands up, so. All right, any, June, Diane, or is there anyone? Just one question. Okay.
I'm just curious about the number of units that would actually fit under the current zoning.
But somebody has to come up.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to speak into the
think-
microphone.
You have to use the mic, yeah.
Yeah, come on up.
Come on.
I'll introduce Aaron
in the
Greenblatt
front.
from Vesta to kind of answer that question. It has to do with the number of units in the mix, efficiencies, one bedrooms, two bedrooms.
Sure.
Okay.
Good evening, Aaron Greenblatt from Vesta Corporation, the lead developer on this project. So under the current regulations, for an amendment, our math shows that we could fit 67 efficiency units. Again, you could mix it differently with one bedrooms and two bedrooms. But that's what you could get, that's the maximum you could get to on, because the efficiencies are the smallest.
Okay.
We are not proposing any efficiencies, and part of the reason for this amendment is, again, the town, has been looking to develop this parcel for senior housing for many years. They put out the RFP last year and we responded to it. Vesta has a lot of experience. We've been around since 1981, developing, and also managing, multifamily housing. We're local, we're in Simsbury, Connecticut. That's where our corporate office is, but we have properties throughout the country. None of our properties currently have any efficiency units. It's very uncommon, particularly with senior housing, to develop efficiency units, just for a few different reasons. First of all, to get the financing in place, banks and lenders wouldn't want to do that. It crunches the numbers and makes the mortgage sizing, it reduces the mortgage sizing. But particularly for seniors, you've got people who are 62 and over who have accumulated a lot of belongings, some of them over the course of their lives. And to cram their whole lives into an efficiency unit really doesn't make much sense. You have seniors with mobility issues. You have seniors with, wheelchairs, other medical devices, and it's really not an attractive and marketable design for seniors. I mean, you typically find efficiencies for, young adults. That's really the most common use of an efficiency unit.
So what is the range of the maximum number of non-efficiency units
I would have, I would have. I
under
would
the
have to do
current
math.
regulation?
I could pull out my calculator and do the math. It would be
It-
based on one bedroom.
Below the 60?
It would be below that, yes.
So your quote was on 60, or your proposal was on 60 to 80 units total was what I
Correct.
heard, right?
The town's RFP specifically asked for up to 80 units.
Mhm.
So again, there was a range based on our financing, our modeling of the project to get this done. 70 units works really well. I will say again, Vesta is a long-term owner and operator. We property manage all of our properties. We also do some third-party management for other owners as well. If you reduce the size of a project down to 50 or 40 or 30 units, the income that you get from the rental gets much lower.
Mhm.
And how do you pay for services at the property? You still need snow removal. You still need exterminating. You still need people to work there. You're at a certain size. Once you drop below a certain size, you're not going to have a full-time manager working there. You're not going to have a full-time maintenance person working there to meet the needs of the people. So there comes a point where you get too small, where you're going to have a property that is really not maintained well.
Mhm.
And that is, again, we're long-term owners. We've owned properties for over 30 years. It's a family business. My father started the business again in 1981. My brother and I are now in the business. I plan on doing this for a very long time. And we want to develop properties that can be maintained for the long term. We're not the type of developer that's going to build something and sell it a year later. So we really want to keep in mind the best way to operate this. And again, the lenders are going to look at it the same way
Mhm.
to authorize the financing for it. If you drop to a certain level, the per unit expenses skyrocket. And it makes it very difficult to maintain quality housing.
Sure. I just wanted to have kind of an understanding of the balance and what's prompting some of it.
And then also for seniors that we have about 80 properties throughout the country. About 15 of them are senior, restricted for seniors. The common mix for senior housing is about 70 to 75% one bedroom, and then 20 to 25% or up to 30% two bedrooms, because sometimes you have seniors who need someone living with them, whether it's a family member to help take care of them or a live-in aide. So you need some two-bedroom units. And that's the approximate unit mix that we have here is about 75% one bedroom, 25% two bedroom. And that's, again, CHFA is the Connecticut agency that's going to help us finance this. That's one thing that they're going to look at is that unit mix.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is part of the public hearing, so if there's anyone who wants to comment about the text amendment proposal, now would be the time to do that, whether it be a for or against. Okay, hearing none. All righty.
Okay, so
Do we want
is there any more testimony or from staff, or do you have more testimony on the text amendment?
on the text
Not
amendment?
necessarily on the text amendment. I don't know if it's on the exception now,
Oh, well, I,
however you want to handle it.
I
I'm
think
thinking close
was the text,
text amendment public hearing and move on to the,
the next item.
Okay.
Okay,
so I'll make a motion to,
I was just gonna.
Okay, yes.
Wrap-up statement.
yes,
With regard to the POCD, so I think I said it right at the beginning, but I did find that the proposal is consistent with the goals in the POCD to advance senior housing at a density that is needed for the town, to meet the town's needs.
okay,
Generally speaking, and again, that's all in the staff report.
okay.
I did just try to do a quick calculation and failed and came up with more units.
No, slow down, Sampson.
I left my scrap paper that I did it earlier at my desk.
All righty.
Sorry about that.
All right, so,
you concur.
But
With
we
what
would
the-
end up with
yes,
less units, and the town was the goal in the RFQ was to be able to provide the units that we've been looking for as identified in the
Okay.
PUD and the Affordable Housing Plan.
all right.
And so with that, I will make a motion to close the public hearing on the text amendment.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Jorsey to close the public hearing on the text amendment. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Zigmont. Do we have further discussion? Then all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, those opposed? So moved. Okay. The only thing I'm gonna say is that, Maureen, just make sure, it's hard with these microphones. And I want to make sure that Scott Hamill and Steve Biella can hear the conversation that's happening up here.
Loud
Are you
and clear.
guys?
Yes, we can, I can hear everything very, very clearly.
Okay, excellent. Steve, we're good with that because we're going to go into the next phase, which is the important phase. And I want to make sure you're on board.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. I'm going to turn back to our good friend here, Attorney Corella.
Okay, thank you. And continuing on with the discussion, I'm going to turn it over to, yeah, I think I don't have to go over the existing conditions of the property. I think you know the property that we're talking about now. I'm not going to go through all that and hash that, but I'm going to turn it right over to Aaron.
Okay, you're going to bail on us. Okay, fine. All right, fine. All right, don't want to talk to us anymore. All right, okay. See how they are?
Good evening, once again, Aaron Greenblatt from Vesta Corporation.
Mhm.
Vesta, partnered with, OMA Architects, last summer to respond to the RFP from the town. As we stated before, the town, has designated this parcel. Again, I believe it's been at least 10 years. I don't know all the history of how long it's taken, but, there's been a desire to develop, this parcel into senior affordable housing. Vesta, as I said earlier again, has been around since the early 1980s. We specialize in multifamily housing, particularly affordable housing. We are a local developer. Our corporate office is a couple towns over in Simsbury. We have Weetog, which is a part of Simsbury. We are an owner and manager, which I think we highlighted in our response to the town. We develop properties, we acquire properties, and we hold on to them for the long term. And we operate them with our own management company because we trust ourselves to handle that. We like to be good neighbors. We have a full staff, upwards, again, throughout the country, over 400 individuals are employed by our management team. Our head of property management sits at our corporate office in Connecticut. We have a couple regional managers in Connecticut, and we take a lot of pride in maintaining our properties and managing them well. And it's the reason that we can continue to do business and have been able to do business for almost 45 years. So again, we responded to the town, and we're now under contract with the town to develop this parcel. We are proposing 2 buildings. They're both 3 stories. And our Joe Magani from OMA will get up after me and discuss the design. But there's 70 units. They are going to be age restricted at 62 years and older. And they are going to be affordable under the low-income housing tax credit program, which has been around since 1985. It's one of the few pieces of legislation that since then has had bipartisan support throughout the country, and is maintained to this day. So the mix of units, again, 75% of the units will be 1-bedrooms. The remainder will be 2-bedroom units. They are restricted, they are rent restricted. There is a cap of the amount of rent that we can charge for the units, and that is prescribed under the low-income housing tax credit program. The units are specifically designated for people who earn at a maximum 60% of area median income. There's certain units that are designated for those at 60%, and there are also some units that are designated at 50% of area median income. So that means applicants and residents cannot earn more than that, or they will not be eligible to reside at this property. And just for everyone's benefit, a single person at 60% of this area median income of this area that's a maximum of earning $53,000 a year. And at 50%, that's $44,000 a year. And the maximum rents are set every year for those units based on 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom. The 1-bedroom 50% units, the current maximum, and again, it changes on an annual basis. The current maximum for a 1-bedroom 50% unit will be $1,187 for monthly rent. The 1-bedroom 60% units will be capped at $1,425. Again, that's the current number. It will change on an annual basis. And then the 2-bedroom 60s will be capped at $1,710 per month. And we are not able to charge more than that for these units. And I think if you do the market research and you are perhaps more familiar with the town and the new developments that are popping up, some rental rates for units like that are twice as much on a monthly basis, and sometimes even more than that. So we're able to finance this project by applying to CHFA, the Connecticut Housing Finance Association, and also the Connecticut DOH, Department of Housing. They are going to be providing funds to help finance this project. And it's just a key component of that is our partnership with the town, and we've committed from an early stage to partner with the town. We've been very transparent. I've talked to Maureen and her staff very often about how we can make this project work. The lot line adjustment is just one of the issues that we've discussed along the way. There's going to be several others as we proceed. But the plan would be, after this approval, we will be able to submit our final application to CHFA we've had discussions with them. They're very interested in this project. Construction would start, if everything goes according to plan, construction would start early next year, in Q1 of 26. We're anticipating somewhere between 12 and 14 months of construction. And then the project will be operational and we'll start leasing it up. And again, the plan would be for us to manage this property for the long term and maintain it. Again, we plan on being good neighbors and hearing any input from the town. Let's see, I think that's about it for now. Again, we've got a few professionals here. Joe Magani from OMA Architects is going to get up and talk about the actual design. Did you have any specific questions, anything that I said, or do you want to reserve those for later?
Sorry. The 50 and 60%, you said single person, not a couple.
I have the numbers for 2 people as well. I should have mentioned those as well.
Yeah, because
It increases.
it increases and I'd like to see what those numbers are.
The 2-person 60 maximum is currently $60,780 annually, and the 50% for 2 people is $50,650 annually.
Right. So the rental amounts,
Those should be the same that I mentioned earlier. Are you asking specifically about the 2 bedrooms?
the 2 bedrooms, yes.
The 2-bedroom 50s are at, again, it's set on an annual basis, so it will change by the time we open here. 1,425 that's the maximum we can charge right now.
Okay.
For the 50% units, and for the 2-bedroom 60% units, the maximum is 1,710 on a monthly basis.
Okay. But you said single person, that's why, if it's 2 incomes, it's still at a 60%, right? But the, 2 income is at, 101,000, I think it is right now, so that's 60,
I think they can hear.
No,
60, they can make 65,000 something dollars, which will bring your, rental up for two people.
no, it would not bring the rental up. The maximums that I just stated.
Okay.
Are the
Okay.
maximum we can charge on a monthly basis.
Okay. That's good.
Are you happy?
I'm happy now.
Just want to make sure, because I was trying to listen to your question.
Well, the medium
Yeah.
income is more than basically what they stated a little bit. It's 101,000 medium income in Berlin right now. So,
We have to use the state.
well, Harford County, Berlin, I don't know, but so 60% of 101 is a little bit more dollars.
Correct, that's the 60,780.
Okay, okay.
So with that, I'm gonna have the architect, Joe McNanny, Burton McNanny, come up and walk through the actual buildings themselves and show you some of the plans for the actual 1 and 2 bedroom units.
Attorney Corella, just quickly, I don't know if you noticed, because I was typing away, I'm not sure if you commented. Mr. Linsky is online
Thank you. Yes.
as well, if you need him. Okay.
Get to the traffic. report. If any questions about that, he's there to answer those questions. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
So, if you want to come.
Good evening. Richard and Aaron are hard act to follow. My name is Joe Magani. I'm an architect with O'Riordan Magani Architects. I would like to just give you in 4 sentences some background. I work for a woman who this year is my wife. She's a classmate. She and I went to graduate school at MIT and Harvard. We taught at the University of North Carolina. We've been practicing in Connecticut since 1986. Our practice has been in various capacities. One interesting capacity has been a lender representative, what they call a construction observer for CHFA, Connecticut Housing Finance Authority. And over the last 15 years, we've represented them on approximately $200 million a project, which translates into about 800 units of housing. Most of it, I'd say half of it, senior housing. We tend to get really excited as designers. We also were trained as not only as architects, but as urban designers, which led us to get into economic development. And we develop, own, operate, have built housing as an economic development initiative in downtown Seymour. So we actually, for the last 13 years, have operated 38 units of income and age-restricted senior housing that was funded by the state and by the Federal Home Loan Bank Board of Boston. So this is something that I know a lot about, senior housing, besides the fact that I'm also a senior, because we are managing a property, and our experience pales to that of Vesta. But what this is about is quality of life for people who wish to age in place. And it's a particularly, it's a topic that's dear to my heart. So I'll just stop right there and show you what we're proposing. We started with a fit analysis for the site. And the fit analysis had to do with the fact that through the center of the site, there's a sewer line right of way. So if you look at the original proposal from the Housing Authority, it had a T-shaped configuration. Thank you. We can just go right to this one. A T-tape shaped configuration because the sewer comes right through the property. So we have building A, building B, getting my math wrong, 34, 36 units, 3-story. And the idea is Aaron was spot on when he talked about the economic reality of being able to adequately fund maintenance and on-site services on the property. So in each of these buildings, there's a community lifestyle that's engendered where you have walkable, soft-lit corridors, spacious apartments, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. You have amenities, in this case, washing machine rooms on each floor. size to allow adequate folding tables, wheelchair accessibility. You have support space in computer room, library, exercise room, assembly room. And in each building, what you're promoting is a sense of community so that the property manager who's on site can assist the tenants in maintaining good quality of life. And that sums it up, the big idea behind the initiative. So the initiative is to provide clean, safe. One of the characteristics of these buildings, which is most amazing, they're built to current code, accessibility, but more importantly, fire safety. So in our building, we built a new podium building in downtown Seymour, 38 Columbus, 16 Bank Street. We took 200-year-old buildings, remanufactured them, put in 12 units in retail ground floor. Then we built a podium building, phase 2, 26 apartments with a community center. Those buildings, like this building, are sprinklered. And I can't tell you, people burn their toast. I've done this. Put somebody on the range, boiling something, and you get distracted. That happens more frequently in a senior living facility. So fire safety, fire egress, areas of refuge, particularly accessibility, so that if you do end up in a wheelchair, there's a way for you to live in place, not have to go into an institution. That's the quality of life that I'm talking about. And the other aspect of this, which is truly amazing, is when you have enough people nested and living together, they become friends. They support each other. Something I learned about, knocking on doors. People will form social networks to make sure they're up in them, make sure they're okay, make sure they're not sick. Because a lot of these people don't have family who can live with them or nearby. The truth is that a lot of the folks in these types of buildings are people trying to stay in their community because their family is here. Oftentimes, because of the cost of housing, they can't stay in their existing house. This becomes a viable alternative. In our building, we have people come back from Florida all the time. Oh, and in our building, we have people come back from Florida all the time because they left seeking the sunshine, and then they realized they were lonely and were getting older, and they wanted to be around family. So so that's the big idea in terms of motivation. And as an architect, I get really excited about the quality of the space, the lighting, the feel of the space, but most like the emotive experience. What will you feel like when you're in this building? Will you be happy? Will you be sad? And this is our 40th year of practice. And I can tell you that you can design buildings, the space, the light, the color, the texture, the flow that can make you feel better or can make you feel worse. And so the goal of the architect is to improve the quality of life through the experience of the space, not just in from the apartment to the circulation through the building to the common spaces, and then as important, the exterior spaces. One of the things we have on the site here, and we did this on one of our projects, we have a raised garden, wheelchair accessible. We have a bocce ball cart. But the idea is that you have gardens and walkways and pathways so that folks who are ambulatory can ambulate. Folks who are wheelchair bound can also move around, go outside, inside. They can maintain a social contact because community extends its longevity. If you're engaged and active as a senior citizen, you simply live longer. If you're isolated and abandoned and don't have interaction, you fade away. So I'm living this with this population of 38 income and age restricted senior citizens who are right the street across the street from our office, and I'll just give you one example. A 6-year-old refrigerator goes on the blink. A woman's got life dependent medications. She calls us up as we're the property manager, and she says, "What do I do?" So what we did is we went and bought a refrigerator, a small one, temporarily, got it there within an hour, put it in her apartment. That's what management on site does. so that her meds would be good until the next day when a repair person could come. So size, character, quality, management on space, attention to detail, all translates into what you're asking for, which is quality of life for your senior residents in your community. So that's what I get excited about. So in this building, building A, building B, three stories, they're talking to each other around the parking lot, integral to, and situated in the landscape. There's an outdoor terrace here. You notice the symmetry. There's an outdoor terrace here overlooking the woods. This is misleading because wetlands are not a lake or a pond, you know. That other, so, okay. I told you Aaron was afraid to let me get going. So you enter a lobby, circulation. Each apartment, this is the long corridor. So what you do is you have entry alcoves with a package shelf. So as you go down, a pool of light, wall sconces, a pool of light, wall sconces, apartment. Here's a fire stair. The fire stairs are designed so that on the 3 floors, they satisfy the distance. They have areas of refuge. So if a fireman needs to assist someone, they can get out. A common room, an outdoor patio. There's a management office. I think it's in the other building. But the point is you have, this is a 1-bedroom apartment. You walk in, there's a hallway, there's a closet, a kitchen, dining, living room, 1 bedroom with a closet. We've actually refined this apartment layout over a decade in different projects, and it's optimization of space, fit, and cost. It's all in the formula of building the building. So what you have is then you have a cross access of circulation, public support spaces, and then just apartments, and then convenient access to parking. So there's a maximum walk from the car to the building. Building A. Okay. The floors repeat up. So here's statistics. This is building B. Here I come in, and this is overlooking the wetlands. Now I've got a large assembly space with a support kitchen, little lounge area off of a main entry and a vestibule, a management office central to the site, so that if you've got a question, you need assistance, you go in person, you call. And then apartments. The idea is that, like, one of the advantages of a building like this, if you have it adequately funded for maintenance, is that all you're responsible for is, like, the biggest thing in living in an apartment is garbage, kitchen garbage. So do you expect a senior citizen to walk half a mile to bring it to a dumpster? In this case, we have trash rooms on each floor, and there's a maintenance person comes in twice a week, carries it all out, deposits it, makes sure it's clean. The rooms are clean. They're positively vented, so there's no odor. So there's always a negative pressure of air. The last thing I'll say is these buildings are on steroids with energy efficiency and energy efficient systems, all mini split to the latest energy code, which is like energy savings on steroids. It's very expensive. The net result is, and we did this, we built a pilot demonstration project in Ansonia, Connecticut at 13 May Street. We won a DOH, it was a competitive application as a pilot project. It's a net zero passive solar, mini split driven, side-by-side duplex. Heating, ventilating, lighting, and air conditioning is $22 a month. That building was placed in service in 1918. It's 2018, forgive me. So technology on steroids, this is one of the advantages of new construction. Talk about putting your foot in your mouth. I'm not that old. So this is it allows you to achieve the best of all worlds. That's the goal. So the floors, real quick, they just stack up. So here's, I can't see it. Building level 2, second floor. So I come up the elevator. There's an elevator lobby. There's a laundry. I go across. There's a computer lab, a small lounge. And then I just have apartments and apartments, fire stair, fire stair. So this is like a nest, but with inherent efficiencies, spatially, energy-wise. And the goal is quality of life, affordable quality of life, because seniors are often living off of savings, Social Security, Medicare, all that stuff. And it's tough because not everybody is well healed and things happen at the end of life and you're on your own. So what? Cool. Okay.
Architectural renderings.
Also see this in the 3D gable profile, fiber cement siding, hardy board. It's clapboard. It's not wood, so it doesn't rot 20 years out. It is factory finished, so it has very long wear characteristics. It's much higher quality than something like vinyl siding, which I abhor. PVC, so low maintenance materials, 50-year roof shingles, architectural roof shingles. Hardy board or PVC fascia, soffits, trim, so that when you have a building that as it ages, it doesn't start to do this, which old farmhouses, you see that all the time, right? So the idea is you're building a 50-year asset or more. So you want to be able to have this building online in service for 25 years before it needs any significant maintenance. And that's the level of initial investment to achieve that. Okay.
Can I just ask a question, just because I wrote it down? You said a 50-year roof shingle?
50.
50.
50.
That's what I mean. You're saying a 50-year roof shingle.
It's
Or-
called architectural asphalt shingle. And it's a typical type of shingle. Normally you see on any, like outside there's a fiberglass asphalt shingle roof through your window. That's what you're looking at. Okay, it's a traditional, typical, what you see everywhere used in the United States. But with technological advances, you can now get a 50-year warranty on an architectural shingle, which is absolutely amazing because to get 50 years on a warranty is unbelievable.
Hmm,
Normal warranty is 30, but you can specify and get a 50-year warranty. It's a
Okay.
very high quality product. And the only thing that's more durable than that is slate or metal,
They're metal, yeah.
but that's significantly more expensive.
Yeah.
Unless Erin wants to volunteer slate. I would love to do slate.
Well, slate is beautiful, but you have to get somebody from Ireland to come and repair it.
Slate roof. I'm gonna turn it over to Dave Nafis of Nafis and Young for the site plan overview.
Just for the record, it's David Nafis, licensed professional engineer and land surveyor with Nafis and Young. I guarantee you, I am not as passionate about catch basins and detention ponds as Joe is about his building, so
Oh,
this will not be quite as emotional as his. These are more X's and O's. What we're doing, you can see the traffic engineer, when he gets up, he'll be talking about the entrance. Or you have the entranceway coming in, you have the main driveway that runs around. You have several branch off parking lots coming off on both sides for parking. The only thing the fire marshal asked was from the original one is we're adding a turnaround so they can drive their fire truck all the way through and turn around without having to do any backup procedures. They could go through and drive through in and out all the way. Even though the buildings are sprinkled, we still have to provide fire and emergency access. Drainage wise, what we're doing is we have everything that's on site is getting caught and brought back into this detention pond in the back here. Even the water that's coming here, we're picking up and catching and bringing around. The only thing that's not on this plan that we will be adding is the Wetlands Commission's requested a couple oil water grit separators that we're going to add in before all the water goes into the detention pond. The pond is sized to handle the 100-year storm, so there'll be no excess water running off of the site. It'll all be held, and the pond is designed to also drain out in about a 24-hour period, so you won't have any like standing water to catch mosquitoes or anything like that. That new little triangle this is the original properties here, and then we got the little trapezoid piece here it's already been approved to get removed, but then that other little triangle's here. We're probably gonna have to do a little modification to the outlet of the pond, but we should have plenty. We looked at it. We have enough to do grading. We have some room up here we can extend and keep our volumes correct. Let me switch over. We have some, for the landscaping, we have a whole list here. These are all native type plants that we're gonna be putting in, and we have multiple planting beds and trees throughout the whole site. We did have one neighbor from wetlands that was one of the budding properties. I'm not sure which one it was, and we are gonna look at maybe adding some like arborvitaes or something along his property line as for screening. We were thinking about fences, but I don't think fences will be a tall enough thing where you have arborvitaes. They'll be taller, and they'll be able to screen throughout the winter. You won't lose the leaves and stuff, and so they'll have a pretty much year-round buffer from the property. But yeah, like I said, there's a whole list of here, maples, red maples, but they're all native type species that we're gonna be using and putting back on the site. Other than that, that's pretty much what I have to say. I can give it up to whoever's next up on the list.
We should have any questions about the site plan itself?
I don't know, commissioners, do you have any questions at this time? And I'll ask Steve Biella and Scott Hamill, do you guys have any questions about the presentation so far? I think Scott Hamill has his hand up.
Madam Chair, I just have a question. I haven't been by that. Is there lights on that baseball field?
Are there lights on the baseball field? I don't know because
I stopped there at 5 o'clock, sat there for a while. Like the American Dream, kids, families playing ball, there were no lights. It's very rural. I mean, there may be some lights there in the session, but.
hold on, you have to use the microphone because otherwise he can't hear your answer.
I'll
I
just-
can't hear him.
Yeah,
Then it might-
okay.
Oh, come on up. You wanna come up and say it? Oh, Joe's the one that went by tonight. He didn't see any lights.
Well, doesn't mean, the only thing is, the only question, the reason why I'm asking that is looking at those buildings, what impact will those lights have on those people living in there?
Wanna talk about the lighting?
I'm not talking about the lighting I'm talking about if there's lighting on the baseball field, I mean.
There are,
it's a concern.
Yeah, I don't believe it's a professional field with high intensity lighting that would allow extensive night play. When I was there, I saw families watching children practice and play games. The nature of the lighting of the small buildings that were there, especially around the pool, that may be a little more extensive, but I believe that it shouldn't be a major obstacle or irritant to the housing that we're proposing.
No, I was
Obviously,
just thinking that's all.
yeah, I thought it was great that the housing would be next to the field in the pool because of the amenities that they bring.
Well, that leads to a question I have, is there a way that if some active senior, because you could have an active senior living there, decides that they want to go over and watch the kids play ball, is there an access way off the property to the playing field?
Well, there could be, but I think there's a fence there right now that there's a walking trail around the fence that they can get to. I don't know, maybe the town planner knows. Is there a way of getting over there?
Oh,
you-
no, there we go.
I was out there during one of our Zoom calls, and there were kids that were riding their quads back and forth from the park into this parking lot, right into the park. So there was clearly access. They just drove their quads right through. So there's already trails that they drive their quads through. So access will not be a problem for the baseball field. The soccer field on the backside,
Yeah,
it would be a little tougher because you'd have to squeeze through behind the baseball field, and that's a very tight little area. But for the rest of the park, they could easily just walk right in, no problem.
okay, so the kids on the quads, are they trespassing into the proposed site?
I don't know. They were just I was just happened to be there, and there was kids that came flying from the park across this site and
Yes,
into the woods on the other side.
no, that
Down
will
to
be-
whatever that back road is there. They're heading off that way.
No.
Okay, Tim,
Question.
but you have to use your microphone, Tim, because otherwise,
Microphone's on.
yeah, but Mr. Hamel.
It's on.
Okay,
It's on. My question is, I know you said the fire marshal, had put a cul-de-sac or turnaround at the end of the parking lot. They asked for that turnaround. Myself in the fire department, taught the fire marshal this and right now, but anyway, Lawndale Road, we just talked about it. Okay. Is there any possible way to put a stone driveway to that cul-de-sac at the end with a gate on it? We do two entrances in most large developments that we have, if we have the opportunity to do it. We've been requiring in many of our developments lately, that there's two entrances. One with a gate where the fire department can have a second way in, just in case something happens with that one-way in entrance. So that's the question. There's a small little piece of wetlands there. I know
Right.
that will have to be addressed.
And I think there's a slope there too, so there'd have to be some pretty significant grading to get from one to the other. You'd have to
I would
cross
like it, I like it looked at, let's see if there's a possibility, second entrance for fire apparatus there, okay?
Yeah, when you come in, you can see, here's the, you can see
Well, it
the
comes straight
topography's
down.
on here. You can see it's pretty steep, and I think the road is like right here.
Right,
we'd have-
right.
Yeah,
Right,
and
it's
the
a-
wetland crossing, so that's what.
There's a wetland crossing there, and it doesn't have to be built, to your road standards. It needs to be solid, a piece of apparatus can drive on it. But it, it's just a second entrance into the complex for fire protection. And I know the fire marshal's gonna say that I'm speaking up again, but that's all right.
If I may, we did ask the fire marshal to opine on that. And he, I think concurred with their evaluation that it would be very difficult and not necessary. If, the plan we were initially sharing on the screen is the original, page C2. You did get a modified C2, and that's the, change in the diameter of the, turnaround. Did make those modifications, and I believe that also shows the fire hydrant got added. I'm not sure it's incorporated on that plan, but I believe it was done before that plan came in that the fire marshal asked for. We did have that discussion, but I would suggest the possibility of adding as a condition, exploring the possible access from Lawndale with the fire marshal.
Yeah, I would just ask to discuss that, because if they're putting a fire hydrant down here in the cul-de-sac or turnaround, that would actually be a good source, coming from Lawndale, to grab a fire hydrant. So it's just, we've been doing it for many of the developments now, if we can find it, with larger developments, larger buildings. So, I like to discuss with
Happy to work with
Steve
the fire
again.
marshal. Happy to work with the fire marshal.
And I'll tell him my idea.
If I may, with response to a couple of something
Yes.
else you guys asked about was with regard to the screening and landscaping, given the neighbors, as they mentioned on Percival being of a kind of older house style scale. A lot of them are kind of bungalow, craftsman style, et cetera. And the connectivity to the park, that they maybe go into a little more depth explaining the perimeter of the property and what they'll be, what they're planning to install, and so that you can determine whether or not you'd like to see further enhancements. On the plan, I was reviewing, I saw that there was a fence all along the property lines where you were discussing. So, my question was whether or not that fence would be replaced, enhanced, or what style it was. So,
Says
will the fence be removed?
6 foot.
There,
foot
it's a
is-
6 foot, yeah, oh, there it is in the bottom corner of the plan we're sharing on the screen. It shows the 6 foot stockade fence. So I guess it's the extent of it, because it's certainly not around the entire parcel. So I think the commission would like to know, where. Not on the- Hmm?
There is an existing fence that this resident has on two sides. They have a pool. Say it again. My apologies. Currently, there is the baseball fence. This homeowner has an existing fence on these two sides. It's a cedar fence, that's 6 foot high. Our drawings call for a fence here, here, and here, which is a cedar fence, approximately 6 foot high. We would need to coordinate with that and talk to this homeowner because we don't want to put a new fence up against his fence, and we would coordinate and ask him how he wants to do it. Either he leaves his fence or we take his out and replace it. Dave thought that the plantings along this line could take the place of a fence. Is the landscape professional advising us? I think that it's just a question of how you get the A to B, whether to satisfy the visual and acoustical privacy separation between the abutting property owners. Right now, the site is pretty isolated, quiet. I think that energizing it with this housing is gonna be something. It's gonna be something exciting. So let me stay on topic. What, did I answer your question?
Well, the fence does come down that
We
parking lot.
currently have a fence here, here, and here, and
And
then
it goes down, on this map, it's going down.
this isn't a fence. This is a setback line.
No, here it goes down. I don't know how many feet, but it goes down.
All right, so you're saying it comes down here and then.
Right, and it ends down there. Okay, I think what happened, and I'm not positive, you extended out for this turnaround on the end, okay? But you didn't bring the fence line down.
Well, we can do that if you.
You know, because this is residential here. Any cars turn around here or parking in here, headlights, you don't want going into the residential properties. So I'm thinking that fence should go all the way down to the lot pin set there.
Okay.
Yeah,
And what we did was we had a cul-de-sac, a turnaround. We assumed the size of a truck, and the fire marshal said, our truck is bigger. Here's the cut for it.
Yeah.
Make it work. So that's what we did.
okay.
With regard to the fence, it was also suggested in some of the staff discussions that um, fencing along the boundary line with the park, along Percival Park, and with an access point be discussed and considered in order to keep the uses delineated and separate, but yet accessible for residents to get to the park. But at the same time, you don't want a ball game to end up in the parking lot. Probably the best way to phrase it.
Okay.
Two final things.
Okay.
Jump start anything here, and certainly want to be cognizant of your time. Two things. One is the police chief's comment about the line of sight coming out onto Percival Road. We looked at that going in both directions. Looking to the right as you exit the site, there's just some trees and some limbs that can be easily trimmed. That's not so much of a concern. To the left, there's a bush that is in front of the property owner's property there that, not too sure what kind of bush it is, but it's actually on the town's right of way. So we don't have any control over that bush, and I don't think the property owner has any legal rights to that bush. We'll work with the town engineers and, to figure out what the property owner wants to do with that bush.
Mhm.
Trim it, we can move it. you know, we can do something with it, but it's up to the town, because it's in the town's right of way, to figure out what to do with it. And we're willing to do whatever the town and the property owner agree to address the line of sight issue.
Okay,
Okay, just want to put that out there.
okay.
Similarly, the demolition of the existing building is going to take place in probably the winter of 26, as Aaron was talking about, you know, getting first quarter of 26. It's going to be demolished in accordance with all state and local regulations. Bruce is here from GeoQuest. They're going to be in charge of the demolition. I don't know if you have any particular questions about that. It's a standard kind of disconnect from the utilities, disconnect and demo, and then remove the site. And how long, just come on up, just briefly, just how long of a process is that? And
Bruce, GeoQuest, typically it's gonna take 1 to 2 weeks to, take the building down, truck it off the site, and, depending upon what remains for foundation, maybe another week getting the foundation out.
My only concern is asbestos in that building. It's
Yep,
an
and-
older
and
building.
Again, it'll be done under Connecticut regulations. There'll be a full-time project monitor on site running perimeter samples, to make sure that we're not releasing anything into the surrounding area.
Okay, yes, because I know we're in public hearing, so I want to be able to turn to the public and see if they have any comments, but.
I did contact our grounds department, and there are no lights at Percival Fields.
Okay, so no lighting, okay.
And unless you have any other questions, we've concluded our presentation. Happy to answer any of your questions or any of the questions that come up from the public.
Okay, terrific. All right, commissioners, before I go to the public, is there any questions that you have or anything that jumps out at this time? Yes, June.
And it might be for Maureen, I'm not sure. I heard the age of 62 and older. Was that what our town had requested? And how does that impact if like you have a dependent that needs special needs that might go in with a senior if that's available? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll have to look at our definition. I'll look for that. You can continue and I'll answer the question in a minute.
Okay, terrific. I'll go back to Scott Hamill and Steve Biella online. Do you have any questions before we turn to the public for comment?
No comment.
Okay, Steve Biella?
Let the public speak.
Okay, all righty. Is there,
No, I just want one question confirming. The list of stuff that we have from staff, they're mostly all minor stuff, but I just wanted to make sure that all those changes or whatever is asked for gets placed on the site plan, okay? Problem's been is after the fact, you know, things are said here and say, yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that. But after it's not on the map and there's, what can we do? So I just, before this is totally finalized, I want everything finalized on the map, you know, and agreed to where, you know, it's just done the way it should be.
For the record, we're comfortable with the list of recommended conditions
Yeah,
that are in the
it's just,
report.
it's just,
We're happy to add those to the conditions of approval and to the map itself.
even if you put a last page on and put all the conditions on there,
No problem.
saying that you're agreeing to it.
all right. And June?
Just a question. I know probably a few of the apartments are handicap accessible. On the ones that aren't labeled that, what features might be in those that assist an elderly person age in place? I didn't know if like doorways are all still wheelchair sized, if they have handheld things to get in and out of things to age in place, you know, without having to go to a wheelchair.
The ADA applicable code breaks unit types into type A and type B. Type A are units that are set up fully handicap accessible. Rest of the units are type B, which means that you could modify the casework to make them handicap accessible. So at the build, only a certain percentage are type A. So you basically have a building that is set up with 10% affordable units, ADA fully compliant, accessible. Both 1 and 2 bedrooms are included as ADA accessible. But theoretically, all the other units are type B and could be converted by removing casework in the kitchen to create an underroll and a sink. And the passageways and the widths and the door clearances are supposed to all be, capable of accommodating a wheelchair.
And I think bathrooms are also like using the toilet, the ability to fit in a wheelchair to turn or sit on, not the wheelchair.
The type B units would not accommodate that if that's not required by code, only the type As.
I will say from a management perspective, there is a process through requests from the residents or a reasonable accommodation request. If there is a medical necessity to add grab bars or other accommodations to the units, that's a standard process. We have an in-house compliance team that deals with those requests, and we are able to do those modifications after the fact if they're supported.
All right, thank you. Now I'm going to turn to the public. Is there anyone here who wishes to address the commission regarding this application? Now would be the time to speak, either for or against it, or any thoughts on it? Okay. All right, then commission, let's go back and see if we have some more questions or concerns.
Yes, I got, they just come up with ages here. Our regulations, and say 55 years old, I think it was, not 62.
So these are elderly, which follow the state statute with regard to elderly housing. And that's 62
Okay. So
ages
it's not-
over.
Okay.
It
That does-
references it in
A-
the
And,
regulation.
and we had in our regulations, I think that they could have someone 25 years old or older as assistant to them, or a family member that takes care of them.
That is allowed under the low income housing tax credit program.
There you are.
As long, the head of household needs to be the senior.
Yeah.
And again, in these, particularly the 2-bedroom units, you are allowed to have a family member or an aide. Please, yeah.
So I also we just looked at the statute. It's 62 years or old and over, or person certified by the Social Security Administration or another federal board as totally disabled. That's in the definition from, so that's from the Connecticut General Statute, Section 8-113A. That's a summary of it, not verbatim.
It's just my questions because I got the gray hair real good, and I'm
Oh,
I'm in-
just settle
I'm in
down.
this boat right now that you guys are talking about. My wife is getting me to sell my house.
Oh, geez. All right, well,
As a reminder, the traffic engineer, right?
yep.
Online as well.
Yep, okay. I want to, there's a couple questions that I have, and I've been kind of holding them at bay. So all of the units, when I looked at the plans, all the units only have 1 bathroom in each unit. Is that correct? Whether it's a 2-bedroom or a 1-bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. The elevator shafts that are essentially located in the buildings, are they just for 1 elevator, or are there 2 elevators? Are there 2 cars? All right, okay. The reason I was concerned is that if you do have an emergency and you need to clear the building, I know that most able-bodied people will run for the stairs. And you have to. So now you have maybe somebody who maybe has some disability and not be able to get.
That's anticipated in the applicable building code, the fire and life safety code. So the elevators are powered by a backup generator. In the case of an event, power goes out, the generator automatically kicks on. Generator is tested every so many months to make sure it's operational. And then based on that, the elevator can be used as a means of egress from the building in a fire event. And so literally people are using the elevator, and this is allowable by code when it's on a backup generator to get out of the building, as well as the fire stairs. In addition, the fire stairs have an area of refuge. Now remember, a fire stair is a 2-hour rated fire separation. It's got a communication device in the area of refuge in that 2-hour shell, so that they can call out for help and say, hey, I'm on level 2, I'm in the stair hall number 2, can you come and get me? So the code requirements that are already incorporated into this anticipate, because the International Building Code that the state, with state amendments, is based upon historic events where people have revised the code to increase safety based on actual fire events.
Okay.
So areas of refuge with communication out, elevators that run on the emergency generator as part of the evacuation system in the case of a fire event. Those are, and most people will be able to get out, walk down the stairs and go out, but for the people who can't, it's been anticipated and provided for.
Okay, terrific. So moving on to the next concern or next thing that I noticed is that when you have the layout of building A and B, it seems that there's a lot of activity, and I'm trying to remember if it was A or B. You have a bocce court that's connected with the building. You have a community garden, raised garden bed. And I felt kind of bad for the people in the other building because they kind of got skimped out. I mean, they have a patio, but they don't have a garden and they don't have a bocce court and, you know, maybe disc golf or
So building
pickleball.
So building B is a smaller building. That doesn't have assembly. It has convenience.
You lean into the microphone. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Building B is the smaller building,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have an assembly room with a support kitchen. Because that's provided at the main building. The idea is that the community comes together at that one location. So in this building, the support spaces are laundry rooms, lounge, computer lab, but there's no like church assembly room for lack of,
Yeah.
whereas in this building, there's a very large one size to accommodate the entire building population. So your event space with a kitchen
Yeah.
is only in this building. There's a reason for that. The
Mhm.
reason is you want one community and not two. You
Mhm.
don't want this to compete with the other. So there's all these incremental support spaces that culminate on the ground floor and the ground plaza and the large assembly. I call it the church room,
Mhm.
with the support kitchen and across from the management office, because there's only one management office also.
Mhm.
So it's all at this intersection. The center of the functioning of the facility of the community life is the center, first floor of this building, building A. This is, I'm sorry, this is A, this is B. B is the home.
Okay. So people have to cross the parking lot from A to get to B.
Yes, they have to go out.
Is there a designated walking area there?
There's a sidewalk and then a striped crosswalk. And the idea is that, yes, there are cars in the parking lot. We don't have speed bumps. We could add them, but the idea is that people in a parking lot are not going,
I just wanted to make sure that there was a designated crosswalk.
yes,
So,
right here. Yes. So there's there's a sidewalk. When you get to the asphalt, it's striped with paint.
yes.
As you go across that, it's a 24-inch travel distance between
Mhm.
this curb and this curb,
All righty.
24 feet. That's what I thought I said. Oh, sorry. It's a 24-foot crosswalk.
Okay. All
On
right.
the screen, it's very paled out, but you can see the.
Oh, yeah.
box right at
Okay.
the entry to each building.
All right. Yep. Okay, Mr. Hamel,
I just
do you have
got
a
que-
question?
Yeah, I got a question, because as I get older, I'm thinking of this. Is there gonna be room for a pickleball court anywhere?
No. What was I saying?
Yeah, they're not playing.
Bocce's great, but pickleball, there should be.
I got a
Keep
question.
them. Oh, geez.
So I got a
Well-
question on parking.
Well, wait, hold on. He has a valid question. Is there going to be room or consideration where you might be able to put a pickleball court? You got to look at it. You have to visit it.
Likely not on site,
No.
but there is this beautiful park to the north baseball field and soccer fields and a lot of land, so.
And access to the
Right, and
park.
the town just got more of the property to do that, so maybe there's a pickleball cart in the future.
Oh, okay, all righty. Okay, does that answer your question, Mr. Hamel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Tim?
Yeah, I
you
got
have
a
an-
question on parking. I think our regulations, if my mind's going right, it's 1.25 parking places per unit. Which comes out to 84 unit, 84 parking, and I know you have 88. Okay, which so mean you got a couple extra. My question is that you have so you got 18 parking places extra. You know, you got 70 units to go have one car apiece, probably. So 70 park places will be taken up. 18 for relatives coming around, community coming around. I don't know if that's enough extra parking for the families coming around or event they have or there or something, because you got a event room and stuff there. You know, and that's my question is your regulations are met, but I don't think there's enough to supply the family coming around and stuff.
Okay.
Oh, that architect's coming up, watch out.
So I'm living this. So 38 households. Licenses start get taken away from people between 65 and 70 years old. I know you don't want to hear this. I'm 72. I drive. I get it.
73, no.
But in our 38 household population, only 60% of the people have cars. And that's just a fact of life because not everybody ages as well as you or I. Okay. But to say, you know, 2 per unit is unrealistic. To say 1-to-1 ratio actually is pushing it because people are losing the ability to drive. And one of the things that has been mentioned is the high proportion of this population, as they age in place, have aides that come in every day and stay with them and then go home at night. And they don't live in, but they're there 6-7 hours a day. And I see, so I think that 70 plus 18 for staff and guests, when, you know, 40% of the people in the building are likely not to have cars. I think it's a realistic provision of parking for the facility. I could be wrong. I don't think I am based on my experience, but I could be.
Either that or they may have caretakers that go take a parking place too. I'm, you know, I'm just saying if there's available places to add a couple more or whatever, I think it's advisable.
All right. You've given us a lot to think about, I think. All right,
Thank you.
so, you're welcome.
Look, did you ask public already?
Yes, I went to the public and no one seemed.
I was looking things up.
Okay, that's okay. That's all right, that you were doing what you're supposed to be doing.
So as this has proceeded, I have a few things, particularly in my report, I'd like to point out.
Okay.
And then a couple of things I added to as could be added because of comments made or that I thought would be responsive.
Mhm.
So, you know, my report, obviously, just like all my reports, has the list of conditions that, you know, everybody, you all read through. But I would specifically like the applicant to acknowledge that the application form itself, a need for a ZBA application was checked off, and I just want them to confirm that that was in error. And we did not identify any related ZBA actions that are necessary, but I'd like them to confirm that they didn't either.
We
That
did,
was an error.
that was an error. That was
Okay, so
checked the
that's-
box inadvertently.
For
Sorry.
the record, that's will be corrected or is corrected. They again mentioned the 824. I already mentioned that. Mentioned that the staff could that we are requesting that you will authorize us to make adjustments if approved, or to the lot line adjustments if necessary. I wanted to point out, and apropos with you discussing the parking, that I did have a further discussion with the building official who oversees the location of handicap parking. And he added to his comments, to his initial comments about permits, that which results in an added recommendation that the location of handicap parking for access to each building be provided to the satisfaction of the building official. He, with relation to the entrances and how the parking is laid out, noted that none of the handicap spaces are immediately adjacent to building B, and wondered about the proximity to the entrances. So he would like to work with the applicant to modify those spaces if necessary. And then I added the comment on, that's comment 10, and added a comment for pedestrian connectivity to Percival Fields, be designed to the satisfaction of staff, and explore possible access from Lawndale with the fire marshal. I think that was it.
Yeah.
It wasn't already commented on or discussed.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, June.
I'm just curious about safety, access. You said different staff being at these locations. Is there security 24 hours? Is it open access into the building? Do you have like key passes and then I understand you can go building to building for activities. How does that work?
For access, we often have access control, key fobs that the residents have. As far as 24-hour security, we're hoping and anticipating that due to the proximity to the police station, this is not a site that is going to require that level, but we do on most of our communities have cameras. So we'll have a camera system and surveillance of those. But we are, given this location, we are not anticipating the need for 24-hour security. We will have, again, this goes back to what I discussed towards the beginning of our presentation, a 70-unit community supports full-time staff who will be there. And we also have on-call staff. Again, we have a pretty robust portfolio in Connecticut. So we have maintenance people who are available on call if there's leaks or other things that happen outside of hours. But the access control cameras, those are the level of security that we anticipate here.
Just to dovetail on that, if I may. So you're going to have cameras on every single floor so that the cameras, so if somebody's coming off the elevator or coming up the stairwell, it'll click the recorder that it will show them progressing down the hall, correct?
I don't think that we have a professional that we use on, again, most of our properties, most of our developments that designs the camera layout. They'll come and they'll look at the design and
Okay.
give their recommendations for where those cameras should be located.
Okay. My second question regarding security would be as if you were using a key fob, and we hear about this all the time, somebody dovetails onto somebody else coming in and says, oh, I have to go up to this unit. And, you know, the person's being kindly and says, oh, yeah, and opens the door for them. And they may have no business in that building whatsoever. So once they're inside the building, there's no additional key fob to perhaps take them to another floor using the elevator or to get on access to the floor?
We could have a system that has the access in the elevator.
Yeah.
We've done that at some communities. Again, I don't know that we finalized that particular plan for this, but
I just want to make sure that these people are safe. And unfortunately, there's a lot of bad stuff that happens to very good people. And so I want to make sure that we're taking the steps to make sure that these people are secure. Because a lot of their surroundings are going to be woods, basically, or an open ball field, or a pathway that's cut by a, what do they call those? Yeah, four-wheeler. Okay, so, you know, bad stuff happens, so we almost have to think about bad stuff happening to make sure that we're safe. So I'm just saying, think about that.
Understood.
All right? Okay, great.
And it is something that evolves over the course of our management. If we do see the need for that type of security, then.
Yeah.
we-
I mean,
Well-
Berlin's a lovely town, but unfortunately,
Understood.
all right. So the other thing, and I know the hour's getting late and we have other business to tend to as well, but I want you to keep open for me, if you please. I want to talk about the architecturals. I want to talk about the colors that you're proposing. We've seen renderings, but there's nothing showing, representing the colors we'll be using. And so I want to look at that. I know you talked about, or one of the gentlemen here talked about the ability, I guess I don't want to use the word solar panels, but you're going to have some sort of generating. Are you doing some kind of eco-friendly,
The generator that was discussed was, I believe, solely for the elevator. And
okay, but there was something else that was talked about.
We, as far as you mentioned solar panels.
Yeah,
That is something, again, across our entire portfolio that we're trying to implement.
Okay.
Is putting solar.
and you're going to watch out for those Chinese parts, that switch that they installed in some of them that cuts it out, cuts out the grid.
Sure. There's a tariff on that, so.
Oh.
50% tariff on it.
Well, I just, I'm reading more and more about it. It's pretty scary, what's happening. So again, just looking forward. But anyway, so these are all, I think, part of our continuing conversation that we'll be having, depending on what the commission.
Again, we've been open from the start. We like to collaborate. With the
Okay.
town, and, we are a little early for color selection, but.
Well, I like to bring it up because otherwise, if something happens and let's say we close the public hearing or whatever, I want to make sure that we can revisit this and that in good faith, okay?
We would certainly commit
All right.
to,
Talking about
before
stuff,
making a final selection on color.
Yeah.
Are you talking about exterior, interior? I mean, we
exterior,
have these
you know,
discussions all the time at our office. but-
oh, it'll be exterior. One last question, if I may. The existing building that's Knight of Columbus, that's 2 stories tall?
Yes,
Okay, this is going up 3 stories?
correct.
Okay. All right. That's the rest of my questions. All right, anything else from the commission that's here? All right, okay. So I think, yeah, do we want to continue? I mean, if we close the public hearing, then I believe the applicant is receptive to continuing discussion.
Oh, they got a lady back there waiting.
Oh, did you want to comment? Okay, yes, please. Well, no, can you come to the podium because you have to state your name and address for the record? Oh, yeah, I have to come here. I'm sorry. It has to be caught by the recording so that our
Barbara Gumbatz, 24 Sterling Drive, Kensington. And I'm on the Commission for the Aging. I just have a concern. This came up at another meeting about the traffic coming out of the senior center now. I think that definitely has to be addressed because when that new building is, there's going to be so much more traffic. And there's going to have to be a way to, I don't know, flashing lights or what, but they go very fast on Percival Avenue. And the people that are pulling out aren't that fast. So that has to be addressed. I also want to know, is there going to be like a community room in these buildings? Yeah? Yeah. Yeah, because that's very important for seniors, socialization. Okay, that's my concerns so far. Oh, you buy me? Yeah.
Just for the minute. It doesn't show the plan, the only. That doesn't show the development. That's just the lot line.
I want to bring some to my shit on Monday.
I can. Mrs. Gombatz, is, the social services staff is the staff to the commission, correct? Our social services staff comes to those meetings?
Social services?
Yeah, what town staff?
Meeting.
Oh, no, town staff doesn't come?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna get them a plan set if,
Just our commission meeting.
oh, okay.
It is open to the public.
All right. Yeah, I was just gonna try to get them a plan for you if they was going to attend the meeting. But if they're not at the meeting, that won't be a good liaison.
Monday, we're at 5:00.
Okay.
Okay?
We have an extra set downstairs too. We can give it to you.
Just if I can, a couple responses. The first is, there was a question about community space. There is a community room and other spaces in these buildings. I did not mention before, but Vesta, again, as a property manager, we have a resident service coordinator at our corporate office. And we have across our portfolio at some of our properties, we have resident service coordination. And we would anticipate here that we would coordinate some activities, whether it's with your commission or other outside providers to come in and provide those services. So that is certainly, so I should have mentioned that earlier, but that's something that we anticipate doing here.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
A question about the median income. Do we see those jumping much or changing from year to year? I know it's reviewed year to year and it's adjusted year to year for elderly or seniors that are on pretty much fixed income. What should they anticipate? I'm curious.
So just for clarification, there's two things that are set. Are you asking about the cap on income, or are you talking about the cap on rents?
Rents.
Okay. So they're the maximum is adjusted on a yearly basis. There are instances when it goes up. The standard is somewhere between 2% and 3%. But there are instances where it goes down, and we saw that last year in Connecticut, in a couple areas as well. So again, it's based on data that's compiled throughout the year, and I do want to stress that that's just the maximum rent that we can charge. There are instances where in a community at a particular property, if the market bears it, we might charge less than that. We are not allowed to go above that rent.
Thank you. And Mr. Hamel, I see online you have your hand up, or is it always up? I guess he
Madam
doesn't have.
Chair, I never put it down. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you can put your hands down now. Thank you, Scott. All right, go ahead.
I
Well,
just want to say to the developer that, you keep on saying how good you guys are.
Gotta use your microphone, I'm sorry, because otherwise I can't hear you online. I get text messages.
In development and, been checked out, so yeah, you're good. You're good, but even though you're in We Talk.
Oh.
But what Aaron didn't mention when he talked about occupancy specialist, the lender has terms and conditions that run with financing the project for construction. So there's an annual audits to confirm compliance with the income. So
Yeah.
it's highly regulated that the people who are eligible to live there get to live there. And oftentimes based on the location, the highest allowable rent is not what you charge. I can tell you on our project in Seymour, we're about 20% below what we could charge, but we just don't have the heart to charge it because when you apply for eligibility, it's an extensive information process. You have to provide your taxes, your income, your financial history, your credit history. You do a criminal check. It's a thorough investigation. So it's a handshake between the tenant and the property manager, and there's a lot of responsibilities on both sides.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. So, I'm good for now. I'm good for now.
I was going to ask, I know you have a desire to continue the conversation with the developer about architectural design and color schemes. We're happy to continue those conversations. I would ask that if you have no other questions, that you possibly close the public hearing tonight, because we want to move this along with the town as well.
Yeah,
We have some other obligations with the
Yeah.
town and responding to the RFP.
Andreas
So
sits here.
that's your consideration.
yeah, as long as
Mr. Hamel, could you please mute yourself? Sorry, guys.
as long as you as long as you're aware that that continuing conversation will continue.
Sure, we'll be continuing the conversation with the first selectman's office, with the Board of Finance.
Yeah.
You know, there'll be a
Yeah.
number of other meetings here as
Yeah.
time goes on, and we're happy to come back and talk styles and colors.
All right, terrific. And landscaping and signage
Yes,
and
all of those issues.
yeah, there's a couple of them I haven't hit on, but I don't want to do that at this point. Okay, fair enough. Thank you. So with that in mind, commission, what's the,
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
all right, motion to close the public hearing by Ms. Jorsey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Zigmont. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Aye. Those opposed? Steve Biella, you're opposed to closing the public hearing?
I'm sorry, no.
Oh,
No.
okay, all right,
Hold on.
okay. All right, okay, thank you. All right, so we have the vote. Let's move on. All right, so that's closed. All right, commission business. We have the site plan application for the Cariotti Family Limited Partnership for construction of a parking lot at 2197 Berlin Turnpike, MBL 21-4-153-13, 2189 Berlin Turnpike, MBL 21-4-153-12, and Stone Drive, MBL 21-4-153-11A. Okay, so we're coming back around to this. Let me get my paperwork out. Oh.
Start?
Yeah, well, whenever you're ready. We thank you for your patience and
Well, thank you. And the record, Dave Whitney, I'm a professional engineer with an office in Avon, and I'm eligible to live in one of those units we just heard you talking about. And if I did live there, I would be in bed by now. Try to be brief.
No, 8:30 is my bewitching hour.
So I'm here on behalf of the Cariotti Family Limited Partnership. A little bit of deja vu because I was here last week. for
Yes.
Change.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to apologize. I think there was a bit of a disconnect between my client, who was very, very anxious to move this project along, and his understanding of my ability to get a site plan finished. And that is why I sent Maureen the latest version of the site plan at about 4 o'clock today. I'm shocked that she had, I thought she had nothing else to do and could look at this plan before tonight. So, I'm viewing this tonight because the applicant put it on the agenda and consider it initial discussion. As you recall, we changed got the zone approval, zone change for 3 of the lots and merged. The 3 lots will be merged with the existing building at 24 New Park Drive with frontage on the Berlin Turnpike. And this is the latest site plan that shows what the applicant would like to do. And we talked a little bit about this last week, but his largest tenant is Northern Pipeline Construction Company. They install underground gas lines. Eversource is their biggest client, and they're bursting at the seams at this facility. They want to stay in Berlin because it's a central location to the state, but they simply need more parking for their trucks and vehicles. Otherwise, they'll have to leave. And hence, that's the applicant's urgency, is they're getting antsy. So the proposed parking lot is shown here in brown. It's about 1.5 acres. It'll be to the south of the existing building at 24 New Park Drive. There was some discussion at the zone change meeting last week, some concern about the neighbors for buffering. And what is shown on the site plan here in green is the minimum 15-foot setback from a parking area. There's no building proposed, so we're talking setback for parking. And there's a 15-foot minimum requirement adjacent to a BT2 zone. And then the lot in back is R15. It's a residential zone, and there's a requirement for a 50-foot setback from any parking to when industrial abuts residential. So that's what's shown here. So the parking lot itself will be about 1.5 acres. In terms of drainage, we talked a little bit last week. We've met with the DOT out there. My initial site plan had a large detention basin in the site, discharging to a water course on the property of 20 New Park Drive, also owned by the applicants. We met with the DOT out there and came up. They suggested a better plan would be to extend a storm drain pipe from an existing catch basin a little bit north, and then make a connection here with a detention basin in front of the site. Now, I don't know, but I think this might take the town out of the need to review the drainage calculations, because this would be a state of Connecticut matter. Is that your understanding, Maureen?
Our town engineer would still review it to make sure that there's no impact on the adjoining properties and otherwise. So he'll still be reviewing it as well. We would expect comments back from him, but the connections to anything owned by the state would be under their purview and improvements within their right of way. Some of the utilities may actually belong to the town in the right of way. So
There is a sewer line and there is a water line. So yes, okay.
The detention pond is on the property, so I think that would be the town, because it's not on the state property. So the state might be saying put a detention pond there, but it's on the property.
What the issue, I think, may be is that the state of Connecticut, as long as we're connecting into a storm drainage system, requires that we design the storm drainage system for a 25-year storm, whereas typically I think the town looks for the 100-year storm. So I'll talk to the town engineer. I'm in the process now of working with the DOT to get permission to connect to their system. There would be a fence around this parking lot. There would be lighting. The lighting would be downward fixtures, dark sky fixtures with no light spillage. We don't have a photometric plan as of yet, but we're working on that. But obviously, we don't want the light to spill over to the neighbor's property. There was some talk last week from the neighbors requesting a fence or some vegetative screening along the southern property line. And that's being under consideration right now. So I don't know if I need to spend any more time tonight. I did want to come tonight because we were on the agenda, but there's still some additional work that needs to be done. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Tim?
Yeah, the, you got that 15-foot setback parking lot there from Stone Drive. I understand to BT2 zone, it's only got to be 15 foot, but it's still a residential home there. And that's allowed in the BT2 zone to have a residential home. So 15 foot to a residential home or street, or it's not a street, it's a driveway, is a little less than, I think, because it's a residential home there. You know, and you have 50 foot in the back, which is fine, but you know, 50 foot towards a residential home probably should be all the way down the line. Maybe there's a compromise there, 25 feet or something like that. But you still got the concern of a residential home besides this new zone. So I question that. The other thing, the other map that I saw here, I don't know, was the map from last meeting or not. There was two entrances going, exits or entrances going into the Berlin Turnpike. This only have one entrance exit driveway now. Is that what's
That is
proposed?
correct. So we've gone through several iterations. Right now, there are two driveways onto the Berlin Turnpike from the two houses that were there. One house has been raised, the other house is scheduled to be raised. There's two driveways now. Our initial plan showed two new driveways,
Right.
and that's been reduced to one. So
And that one driveway, is that where the crushed stone is, where it's sort of cleared?
yes,
Yes.
there's a pile of millings there that has been stockpiled
Yeah,
and for use.
so that would be where the
That would be
driveway's
where the
gonna be.
proposed driveway is.
I got any question. Did you take into consideration, I mean, state probably said something, but I mean, you trying to get approval of that driveway with the state. That is a very high-speed downhill area. And it's higher than 50 miles an hour. But did you consider taking that existing driveway that comes off of New Park and bringing it into the parking lot that you're proposing here? For you to have your access off of New Park Drive? Because it's same owner, it's just extending your existing driveway into this piece of property, into this parking lot.
The tenants are very desirous of having their own driveway. There will be a connection behind the existing building also to the parking lot. But the tenants would like their own driveway. And again, it does not appear there's any state DOT has any issues. We need to try to make this parking lot as functional as possible for the tenants.
I understand that this commission still has the right to ask
Absolutely.
questions and
You asked if we considered it, and we originally wanted two driveways to replace the two driveways.
right, and you went down to one. I understand that, and you have an existing driveway right now in the back of this new building, and you have existing driveway going out to New Park Drive. I don't know if it's better to expand those two driveways and make them a good driveway to all the buildings, and be a safer exit onto Newport Drive, New Park Drive, where there's a traffic light to handle the traffic. And that's my safety thing.
Well, let me just say two other things. Have all vehicles driving through this parking lot is not ideal. It can be done, but it's not ideal. And also the applicant has a future plan for a food court in front of the site. Now we're not gonna, I don't want to get into any details about that because frankly, I don't know that much about what his plans are, but that is his long-term plan. So
I see that.
So these trucks that are being, that's going to be utilizing that parking area, are they going to be running all the time? In other words, if it's winter or whatever, do these vehicles need to be warmed up? Or in the summer, are they left with just the engines running at any time during their housing there?
I'm not sure I know the answer to that question. I mean,
Okay.
they're pickup trucks, maybe some larger vehicles.
Yep.
They have they tow drilling equipment and things like that.
I'm
We're not
yeah.
talking tractor trailers, but yes.
Yeah, I'm concerned just for the existing neighbor there. I just want to make sure that
That's a valid.
that somehow they're buffered from noise or conversations. Do you know what I'm saying? Is, because if you've got a truck that's running and you have two people are conversing, they're no longer conversing, they're yelling at each other because they're trying to yell over the engines of one versus the other. So I just want there to be a sensitivity
I
to
understand.
the existing.
I've worked on a school bus yard.
Yeah.
So I
So
know
you know,
exactly what you're talking.
sometimes the language gets a little rough. Okay. That's good.
Well, I was not anticipating there would be any action tonight. So, by the commission,
That was
so,
good.
No, we thought we were gonna be sleeping at the sports walk. Anyway.
So I can
all right.
get back to you with some more detailed information on that.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think, I mean, I can understand, and we just want to be sensitive to those neighbors that are there. Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Anyone online? Scott Hamill, Steve Biella, you have any questions?
No, Madam Chair, my concern is like, like everyone else, is just the people who live there, that is a concern of mine. And that's really about all I have to say,
Yep. All right, understood. Thank you. All right. Okay, yeah, sure.
What's our next date?
July 10th.
All right, now this says this has to be decided by July 3rd.
Yeah.
So do we need an extension to the 10th?
Yes, they need to grant an extension, which he has indicated in his email and by the statements at the beginning of the meeting that they're granting that extension, but
I will get you a
should
letter
for,
requesting and granting
and
it.
put it
Okay,
on.
we should have this settled out.
And I'll also just note for the record that, as he stated, we were expecting these revised plans, so they weren't routed. So your package is pretty thin with this. We don't have, interdepartmental comments yet either.
Yeah,
And no analysis has been done
okay,
on the proposal.
all right, terrific.
Reading the modification, the rezoning, and then the modification.
Oh, all right.
Also would like to know if that building has overhead doors towards the residential or not, loading docks or whatever,
Oh,
we don't know that for the building. 'cause
No.
The building's just a square right now.
yep.
Excuse me, I'm not sure I understand.
Loading docks, overhead doors or anything else in that building, if there is.
Are they aimed at?
No, there is a loading dock on the north side of the building.
Okay, that,
Nothing. Some windows and some couple emergency doors. South side.
okay,
Okay.
good. All right. Go ahead,
All
Diane.
right.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to continue this item to the July 10th meeting.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Jorsey. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Daly. Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? So moved. All right, deliberations. We're to the text amendment application for Vesta Corporation. So this is about the text amendment. All right. Commission, how do we feel?
I'll make a motion to approve the text amendment as
Well-
presented.
Motion to approve by Ms. Jorsey. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Zigmont. Further discussion on the text amendment? Then all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? So moved. Special permit with site plan application with Aaron Greenblatt. This is for the Vesta Corporation as well, which is the elderly housing at 143 Percival Avenue.
Tape.
I think, all right, Commission, how do you, do we want to take up deliberating this today, or do we want to?
Well, I'll start by making a motion to approve subject to all of staff comments. I don't recall that we raised any particular thing to add to that.
Even the ones I mentioned, in my summary. Four things.
Engineering had a comment, fire marshal had put in a fire hydrant, which I didn't see on the plan that was handed to us. Whatever staff, basically,
Staff.
all staff comment, not just planner.
Item 13, I try to always include any outstanding department comments must be resolved to the satisfaction of the commenting department before issuance of building permits.
And are we going to have an opportunity to look at the architecturals from the staff level and the landscaping? As far as the colors?
And you indicated with,
Yeah,
and the applicant agreed to.
yep. Okay, I just want to make sure that
Would you like
that,
those two be subject to those returning for the commission
Subject
on
to those
review.
items.
yes.
Commission review.
Can we have a commission review on that?
Okay, so I'll start again. I'll make a motion to approve the special permit with site plan application, subject to current and future staff comments, and subject to presentation of architecturals and color scheme.
Okay, so we have a
Landscaping.
and
Landscaping.
landscaping and lighting, signage.
The second
No, we need signage too,
Second
because you don't know if you're gonna have an entranceway. They're gonna be sign-
modification,
I'm sorry?
the second agrees to your modification of your motion.
but I'm adding more on to her.
Can
Okay.
signage be approved by staff? I'm just curious. Or is that something we normally
Signage is
do?
always approved by staff.
Yeah, but then normally we look at to see what the signage is, or, landscaping is and stuff like that. Or-
I'm happy to modify the motion to whatever you guys.
So I'll just to clarify, if they present something or don't present something that you then want to hand off to staff at that time, you do that at that time.
All right.
Incorporate it now and.
I just thought you guys always.
I just want to make sure we get this right.
Later.
That's what it is. I just want to make sure we get it right.
Okay, so do you want Maureen to work with the applicant on those things, or do you want the applicant to come back to us with landscaping and lighting and signage?
We have some of the plans here, so I'll say we'll go ahead and let Maureen work with it. But if Maureen has questions, if staff has questions, you know where to find us all. All right.
Does.
Okay,
So
I'll
I acquiesce
amend
that.
the motion accordingly.
I hope I don't have nightmares about this.
Well,
Okay.
Mine second accordingly.
All right, so we have a motion by Ms. Jorsey. We have a second by Mr. Zigmont. So further discussion. Then all those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Those opposed? So moved. Boy, we're like hot knife through butter. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your patience, and I know you'll do a good job, and I know we'll be seeing you all back. Or at least Maureen will be giving us updates.
Keep to your rep.
And we just want to make sure that it
to
would
your
be something we'd be proud of. Yeah,
That's all.
We share the same goal.
yeah, I know. And think about that pickleball court. I mean, honestly.
Oh, yeah. 62%.
Well, remember, they're all going to bed at 8 o'clock at night anyway, so, I mean, by the time these people get home from work, everyone's having
Not
dinner.
supposed to be driving anymore, so I guess I can't drive the bus to Nova Scotia in a couple of weeks.
I don't know, you're giving me too much information at that level.
Go.
Okay,
go.
we still have some left on the agenda, the planner's comments. Planner's comments has nothing. Anyone else have any comments?
Madam Chair, I have some questions for the planner.
Oh, Scott Hamill's asked questions, or you want to go?
Sorry,
No, go
Maureen.
ahead. All right, go ahead, Scott Hamill.
Okay, I got a, Maureen, H2O. Can someone tell us what's going on down there? Because when I drove by it, it looks like it's abandoned. A couple times I've seen 2 people working. I've seen 4 people sitting inside. Where do we stand on that?
So they have active building permits. They have been in contact with us, working through, some of their, code details as far as building, and interior fit outs and whatnot, or interior finishes. And they're just working along.
Okay, and then, as I was going down the Chamberlain Highway, another sore spot is Johnson's, the old florist there looks still like a dump. Are they planning on cleaning that up at all?
So they did just go through wetlands? Did they?
Wetlands past them?
I can't believe that.
Last time I knew wetlands didn't pass it.
Is that the,
They're still in wetlands, right?
yeah, they're still in wetlands?
And we're expecting, an application, from them. They have active building permits on that site as well, and some enforcement issues are being, handled through legal channels.
Okay, and then,
there-
Maureen, I hate to be a pain in the neck to any of you guys, but only one more question with our friend, Mr. Kokomo. On that Joel's on Farmington Avenue, that building looks awfully close to that Joel's. I mean, is anyone going out there and check that? Because that looks like an alley. The foundation is
Oh,
already
it
poured.
is. It is very close.
Okay,
There is a very limited distance between the two. Joel's building is actually, basically on the property line.
Okay.
So any
there's
of
no
the
traffic going
setback
through
is
that then?
totally, the setback that is on, 873 is basically entirely the setback required by 873. Joel's is
Okay.
up at the property line, if I remember correctly.
and no
And
traffic.
we
is
are
going through
working through the foundation and some town mitigation with them in order to, as that proceeds. So town staff has been out there, very regularly. The town engineer is regularly out there, as well as the building inspectors,
And
because of the monitoring of the site and the installing, things and the installations on 55 Steel as well.
can I ask if,
Okay, thank you, Maureen.
with
Thank
the
you, Scott.
the problem that we're having at the 2 sites are just mentioned, plus other sites. There is no enforcement there. I mean, it's going legal, I guess, but there is no enforcement action of a fine or a dollar amount that he's got to pay per day, because we do have that in our regulations. And it's time to what we keep on seeing, it's time to take action. If we go send someone in that Chamberlain Highway and clean it up and charge them, whatever, because we have that regulations that we can do that, but
The problem is the act of bankruptcy keeps just
and the bankruptcy, I'm not gonna worry about that, but It's just, constant.
Well, unfortunately, and I think as you've mentioned, maybe at this meeting, the ZBA meetings and at some other meetings as well, is, unfortunately, enforcement is, quite challenging to escalate, and the maximums allowed, are another constraint, as well as the procedural steps to be taken all the way through the process. And it is just an arduous process, that we're, working closely with Corporation Counsel and, other town, officials to resolve as many of the issues as we can and as quickly as we can. I think
would ask,
our town attorney has mentioned, and I know we've heard it at, various planning and zoning, professional meetings, is that it's not unique to our town. There is, somewhat of an entitlement that seems to be purveying in communities at large of, oh, well, until you catch me, or until, or the punishment isn't hitting the wallets hard enough, or what
We-
have you. So it
we,
is a
we caught them now.
point societal problem.
And I would ask the town attorney to take actions or take the zoning enforcement officer to take actions that are available to us. Okay, this is not a new thing. This is years of things. It's not this project only. It's years of projects just doing what they want. Okay, and I'll say it for most developers. But particular, these sites have been just too much to me. And it's time that we take any legal actions that we can by zoning enforcement or by town legal staff.
So, I just have one quick comment, and, this is as Maureen said, it's across the state, right? We have issues with different folks, but, one of the things that is particularly hard, and, the North Haven CEO in particular always says this to me, how much she hates trying to resolve an issue of non-compliance with an application. She thinks that can be a very difficult thing. So, with regard, obviously, to the one property mentioned that's before wetlands, it's going through a restoration plan process. There was a consultant hired, and there's been some back and forth on that. So hopefully, it gets resolved through that path. It's a necessary path, given, testing that's been done and so on and so forth. But, I will say this to you, it is always my preference that if you want to talk about a particular property, that we, notice that on your agenda, and that, the property owner be invited to attend and participate, because, that's what's appropriate. So if you would like to do that, please do let staff know, and that's the way we will proceed. But, yeah, I mean, the decision of, enforcement action is a difficult one. It does originate, it starts first, obviously, with action by your official who acts as your agent. And then when there's non-responsiveness to that, obviously, if you have an emergent situation where there's a health and safety issue, then I always advise an injunction action. And, I've gone down that path through the years with success, in the appropriate circumstances, right? But otherwise, we do have a process, as you know, under your regs that's observed, where, your agent takes action. There's the ability to appeal, any agency action, to the ZBA. And that's our process. But if you want to talk ever about particular properties, please let Paul or let Maureen, obviously Maureen staffs you, let her know. Okay? Thank you.
I'll make a recommendation that we bring the applicant in, and talk about, we, approved stuff on that property or even looked at that property, Chapel Highway many a times here. And many a times we addressed the problems out in that property, what it looks like, everything else, and we were promised by the developer that it would be taken care of. It's never been taken care of. This is, probably years now. I think it could be at least 2 or 3 years. And I would ask for the applicant come in here and any other project that applicant has that has violations to be noticed on our next agenda.
So we want a progress report.
And that, well, we want him to address the issues.
Again, there were a couple of properties mentioned. Which property are you speaking of? We can't guess.
Although the properties right now is Sablon Highway, we just brought up the Farmington Avenue, what, 873 or what number?
I
8?
don't think we identified any violations on 873. They're working on the building
Okay,
permits and in
okay.
compliance with the plan right now.
And the Main Street, East Berlin, which want to make sure that any violations that we brought up in the last meeting with him, that all violations have been addressed. And that the 3-bedroom units are not 3 bedrooms without a closet, because they were built already. So
Well, what we might want to do is find out what the original plan was that was approved by the commission.
that's.
And then we can see what he's
they were-
done to that. So they should have
bedroom
side by side.
Uh,
So I'm saying,
Show you those modifications.
well, he shows the
When you approve
modification.
him to eliminate the bedrooms and open them up. And the building inspectors have been, as they've gone through each unit. I mean, they were the ones that called it to our attention because they investigate the inside. And they're monitoring that very closely.
okay, because
Well, I guess yeah,
he was here adding more 3-bedroom units. Okay, one added for 3 of them, and we denied them at that meeting. Okay, and those 3-bedroom units were framed out. Okay, so I want to make sure they're unframed, and they're coming down to 2-bedroom units. Okay, there is billboards up now for renting 2-bedroom units. Okay, in East Berlin on Mill Street, you call the number, it's that 2-bedroom units. Okay, I just want to make sure that things are not being rented without COs, which we have on 2, probably 3 units occupied right now.
They've now been CO'd.
Okay, if they've been CO'd, that's fine. Okay,
So the CO issue is not this commission's issue. It is the building official that issues the CO. What you're concerned with is zoning compliance.
all in compliance.
So just be careful about that, because that is not this commission's concern. It is the building official that controls the issuance of certificates of occupancy.
Okay, that's fine, but as long as that are 2-bedroom units, and that any construction that happened, because the roofs were actually brought up because of the 3rd bedroom.
So
The style of the buildings are different. Okay, so what's gonna happen is that it's gonna be a room. Okay, but so the square footage of those units are going to be bigger than the 2-bedroom units that were approved.
well, it wasn't even that. It was also, remember, he put in mailboxes in front of every single
Yeah,
one. He put in light.
So the mailboxes has been approved by the
Yeah, but,
post office now,
well,
which I don't believe
I
that.
don't believe that at all. But the other thing is too, is, the lamplight, the street lights.
Yep.
They were all they were all
They
put
were
in
back
and
onto
but
us.
nothing was approved.
So,
I think the whole
again,
thing is
let's,
that you're
we're really
planning
getting
on-
into a lot of things. We do not have the property owner here. He needs to be invited. Um,
That's fine. We'll
Okay,
just talk to
that's
him.
fine.
and, and
Fine.
We want updates. How about that? We're looking for updates. What is wrong
So,
with it?
so I would ask our agendas. We have a place that our planner can, on future items or whatever, whichever she wants to speak on. I would like to have a place on our agenda that the commissioners can bring this stuff up and have and then place it on the next agenda or whatever, okay? But right now, we're discussing it and it's not on the agenda. So I want a place that we
You're
can
just
discuss
talking-
any developments that we have a problem, that we see
So
things being done that's not
so
in our
we'll-
approvals, whatever.
we'll make a note to add commission comments.
Commissioner comments, yeah.
Yes, after the planner comments on the agenda. So that will be the next. So
Before or
the next-
after,
We'll just
whatever.
anyway, okay. Now, I just want to move on because I think we have people here who we're going to be going into executive session. Is that what I'm feeling?
Okay.
I'm feeling the love here for the.
Feeling the
executive
love,
session.
yep.
All right. Mr. Scott Hamill, Mr. Steve Biella, we will be Okay, guys, Scott and Stephen, we're going to be going into executive session. Do you want us to call you or do you want to call in or what, or?
We did create a Zoom.
Oh,
for
good.
This.
Oh, yes. Woo-hoo.
Brandon
good.
Fields, and I don't know if, perhaps Pat's,
Go to the
engineer
others.
may be joining as well on that. Then we can send them that link.
Okay. All right.
It will have the phone number for it on there as well.
Comes with box full of stuff.
But Alexa will do that now.
All right, guys, so Alexa's going to be, are you going to be emailing the link to them? She is going to be emailing the link to you. So if you can get into your, I'm hoping that you're on their town tablet or whatever you want to call it. Scott Hamill, do you have the town tablet? Are you using, do you have email? The
Yeah, I
town
have
email?
Yeah, I
You
have
have it?
that on my.
You
on
have-
my-
Okay,
Yes.
so you have your town email loaded on your computer. Okay, great. Because Alexa's gonna send it. Steve Biella, do you have your town email on
I'm
your
not-
lap?
I'm on my personal tablet right now.
On the personal one?
You have my personal email, that's fine.
Okay, yeah, we have a personal email,
Yep.
so we'll go ahead and send that through. Just give us a couple minutes here.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
I'm writing the names down if that's what you're looking for already.
when you make the motion to go into executive session, if you could please identify staff and myself, as well as Pat Snow, Brandon Hanfield, and then Mr. Snow's engineer will join us as well, and that's Dan Ville from Zuvik, if you don't recall his name. Thank you.
Imagine Brandon.
And Brandon Hanfield, who's your engineering consultant. Thank you.
They need to make a motion.
All right, so. May I have a motion to go into executive session? Okay, for the purpose of pending litigation at 1906 Berlin LLC.
Yep, so I'll make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss the status of pending litigation of 1906 Berlin LLC versus Planning and Zoning Commission of the Town of Berlin, and also to consider whether to convene an executive session to discuss the status of the pending litigation of 1906 Berlin LLC versus Planning and Zoning Commission of the Town of Berlin, and that we will include our counsel Jennifer Coppola, and staff Maureen Giusti, Alexa Gorlick, and Pat Snow, Brandon Hanfield, and Dan Ville.
Okay, And once we do, for those who may still be online, once we exit executive session, we'll be going immediately to adjournment. So I do want you to know about that. Okay. All right. So we have a second by Ms. Daly. Further discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? So moved. And you guys stand by and you'll be getting your email soon.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.